AAA studios keep shipping broken games even after spending millions of dollars with hundreds of developers. Instead of guessing, I ran an experiment and hired 6 freelancers on Fiverr to take turns working on the same game with no communication to see if they could surpass AAA standards in a limited time. And thank you to Fiverr for sponsoring this video. To start, we needed to find Unreal Engine 5 developers, which is the best engine in the market to get AAA quality fast, theoretically. So with a budget of $1,000, I went on Fiverr, which has a ton of great freelancers for pretty much anything you need, from 3D modeling to game programming, and filtered by our engine, Unreal. They also have other filters like the seller's level or even an hourly rate option. Since each developer will get a bigger budget than the last, I wanted to see how far $25 could go, which isn't a whole lot, to be honest. And after some digging, I found a promising freelancer called Augustin. Now, I was a little sussed because his Unreal job had 0 reviews, but he'd been on the platform for a few years and had a 5-star rating for his previous job. So I decided to trust my gut and reach out to him. And little did I know how he would completely change the course of the challenge for all of the future developers. I reached out using Fiverr's custom order request with my budget and an estimated timeline of a week. Now, I needed a unique game idea for this challenge that wasn't easy to recreate with assets, which would completely defeat the point. So since I think wizards are cool, the challenge will be make a third-person wizard combat game. Luckily, Augustin sent an offer request really quickly for $25 and got to work. Also, you can find the links to all of the freelancers down in the description. He started with the new third-person combat template Unreal released in their 5.6 version, which comes with a functional character with a lot of built-in movement, camera controls, and basic combat. He then removed the existing charged attack and replaced it with casting a fireball, which would be our wizard's first spell. After adding animations and particle effects to it, he implemented a mana system with some basic UI, which would decrease when using any spells. He also implemented a wave system along with the UI, which I didn't even tell him to do that. And after a quick round of revisions, here was the result of our first developer. Now we're one step closer to achieving AAA quality. I was super impressed with how many features were implemented in just our first job. So now let's see how our next few developers can turn our simple prototype into a full-fledged wizard game. For our next developer, my budget is $50, which already opens up much more jobs on Fiverr. And after some searching, Red Umbrella G stood out, a top-rated developer with 4.9 stars and over 370 reviews, which means we can expect a really good job. I reached out to add in a new spell, and he suggested one he could add for the budget. So I quickly accepted his offer and then... What the heck? He already delivered it? Okay, so not even 24 hours passed and we have our delivery already. And this time it's a directional rock smash which damages any enemy within its range. I can see why he's a top-rated seller now. Now for our third developer, I had a budget of $75. And this time I reached out to another promising developer called Hassan, who is a seller level 2, which also means he has quite a bit of experience on the platform. This time I added more instructions so I could see how much bang per buck I could get. So he sent me an offer for $80 with a 10-day delivery, and of course I accepted. And then he started working on the coolest thing I have ever seen in my entire life, like holy moly. But first, he added in some characters from Unreal's Fab Store and even decided to upgrade the VFX for the previous fireball animation, which I hadn't even mentioned to do, which was really nice of him. Ow. And for the spell, well, you'll just have to take a look. He added the Rasengan, an attack that charges up with slow motion and super cool particle effects and then decimates everything in its path. He even pulls the camera out to get a better view of all the clones. Now we still have 3 more freelancers to go, and the next 2 will turn the tides of the entire challenge. But first, let's see the final result for our third developer. Now with about $800 left of our budget, I decided to reach out to Munib. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Another experienced level 2 seller from Pakistan. Now, I initially offered a budget of $100, but in the end, we agreed on $125, which later I ended up changing to $150 because his results were insane. Just look at one of the updates he sent me. Fully edited videos per update. That is like above and beyond. In the first update, he added sound effects, better camera movement with head bobbing, and fixed any issues the previous attacks had, like spam pressing. He then added jumping, dodging by rolling, and not only one, but 3 spells. The first one would target a random enemy within range and blow them to dust. The second was a shield that pushed away any enemies in front, which I thought this was pretty cool because it takes advantage of the ragdolls pretty well. And the final one would rain down a lot of fireballs in the area. Apart from that, he added some cool rain visual effects and a dramatic soundtrack when entering the arena. I don't know how the other freelancers are going to be able to top this, but let's see the result of our 4th developer. Chef's kiss. Now let's find out if our next freelancer can make this lame scene look a little nicer. While searching, I found Dave, a top-rated 3D environment artist with experience in Unreal Engine, and commissioned him for $200. I used AI to quickly generate a concept so he could get a better idea of the final product, and he quickly sent over a progress update of our 3D model, which looked exactly like the image I sent him. He then placed it in Unreal, but I still thought it looked a little bland, especially near the bottom, so I asked him to add in some flowing lava, and he quickly delivered. Now that the game is more polished and looking so much nicer, it's time to find our highest tier and most expensive developer of this challenge, with the largest budget of $300. With this amount, it's now much easier to pick our preferred developers. But before reaching out to someone really promising, I noticed 2 small issues with the current project. When I used the main fireball attack, I noticed the explosion would keep playing even after it stopped. So with my decent Unreal Engine experience, I found out that the particle system needed to be set to not looping. Another strange issue was a weird white shadow on the lava. That kind of ruined the mood, so I quickly fixed that by setting the material of the lava to unlit so the light wouldn't affect it. So technically, you can count me in as the 6th developer. Okay. Now it's time for our final developer to really elevate this project to AAA. So I went ahead and I asked Samyula, and I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, which I probably did, to polish the game and bring it to the next level. And after reviewing the project, they sent me a detailed quotation highlighting every fix they would make. Now, it was a bit over my asking budget, so I asked them to remove some of the features, and we finally agreed on $320. He then sent me a full game design document, and I was very impressed. Now, did I read the whole thing? He was super quick to deliver, and all of his changes made the game so much more polished. So let's finally find out how our humble prototype evolved after 6 freelancers on Fiverr worked on it, and if it can surpass AAA standards. Our latest developer reworked almost all of the attacks to not only look but feel better, with enhanced VFX, better camera shake, timing, and decals. He worked on making the pacing for their wave system better, as well as scaling the difficulty of the enemies per wave, also introducing elite enemies after round 5. Not only that, but he made the player control better, improved the AI of the enemies, and reworked the UI, making it match the theme more, adding tooltips, a start and end screen, and even making sure the UI elements scaled to support different resolutions. He also polished the ragdoll behavior and fixed some other small bugs that really hindered the gameplay. He also even cleaned up the events graph in the project, so it would be neater and easier to read, along with removing any duplicate code. And this amount of work really blew my mind because he delivered it in only a few days. Now, the game itself is pretty fun to play with all the spells, but I think it might need just a little bit more work to reach AAA. Nonetheless, it's an amazing result with 6 different freelancers on Fiverr with no communication between them. You can find all the links in the description, and if you want some more insane Fiverr challenges, you should check out this video where I had 3 Fiverr developers make the same game in different engines.